The current literature tells us that less than 5% of the time when you place an NG tube down, it might go into the lungs. But actually, when you put a CCD chip on the end of an NG tube, you find that that can happen up to 50% of the time. This is a very real risk. And these nurses really do need more education, training and support that goes beyond what's currently available. Putting a tube into the stomach is not without risks, and it's something that actually has been underestimated over a long period of time, but I think now we are starting to realise the very real risks that exist with placing an NG tube. If we had a foolproof method of testing, then it would be relatively straightforward, but we don't.
There is a stark reality that nurses often have to feed patients via a tube just to keep them alive.
I think it's genuinely up there with one of the worst things I've ever had to go through. Physically, it's such an awful feeling. And then obviously as well, it's really horrible just having that sort of happening to you.
So the tube is in. I can't remember if I updated on that yet. It was placed at like around 2 o'clock, I'd say. And it is now almost 6. It was not pleasant at all, but I didn't use any meds. I was completely awake. It didn't take all that long, but it definitely was uncomfortable and kind of painful. My nose is incredibly sore on the inside, like really sore. But yeah, so we started feeds and they're at 10 mils an hour right now. We're starting really slow and working our way up.
So they've decided to move me upstairs to the medical ward, even though the medical team didn't want to take me because I'm medically stable. That's what they said, but the psychiatric team convinced them to take me. I think after all the fuss that was made to get me here, they feel like they need to keep me here. I just feel really embarrassed and like everyone's looking at me like there's nothing wrong with me. Because according to them, there is nothing wrong with me. I just had an x-ray to see if this was in the right spot and the guide wire is still in. So it makes it extremely uncomfortable, but I can deal with it. But having an NG tube for the first time, if you ever are having an NG tube for the first time, is extremely uncomfortable, and I will never forget the day that I first had one. It was the worst experience of my life, and I hope that none of you ever have to go through this.
This tube sucks ass. This really hurts. I have a feeding tube. That's the pump. So basically, whenever I don't eat a meal, that's when they feed me. And it's bolus, so it's faster than normal. And this tape sucks. But anyway.